Hey everybody, it's Winston. Let's talk about DeFi Kingdom's newest hero class to join the hunts, the Berserker. The Berserker is super fun to play, and once you understand the basic strategy, it's really easy to play. I think it's probably one of the easiest classes to play in the bunch. The Berserker is very good at replacing your damage dealers and not quite as good at replacing your tank, and they don't heal at all, so you're not going to want to use them instead of a healer. They're not going to replace that very well at all. The main reason why I think that they're not a great tank is that they don't have a taunt. They can take a punch, they've got great health if you stack their vitality, but they just, without being able to taunt, I think you're going to be missing that. If you're used to having a tank with a taunt, you're going to be missing it. And I love taunt. I use sometimes 2 tanks in matches because I'm crazy, I don't know. That being said, if you're going to be using the Berserker as a damage dealer, you're going to want to focus on a few stats and a few some skills that are going to be enhanced by those stats. So let's take a look at some of our stats and hit points and mana points and all that good stuff. So this hero on the left is, in my opinion, this is a pretty decent Berserker. The health is pretty good, mana is pretty low. We're going to be doing basic attacks almost exclusively with the Berserker, so we don't need a lot of mana. 60 is enough. That's plenty. That's more than enough, probably. And we flip it around here. We can look at some of these stats on the back. Good strength, 28 strength is good. Dexterity is fine. You need 18 or 19 if you want to land hits, so you need it. This is kind of like the minimum. If you want to really consistently land them, you could go a bit higher than that. Vitality is super important. One of the skills you're going to use keys off of Vitality, and this is going to really increase what that skill is capable of. Also, having good agility doesn't hurt. You're going to want to get as many attacks in as you can. You're not going to run out of mana. You're using basic attacks, so there's a lot of sense in having quite a bit of agility as well. And then, of course, as much luck as you can squeeze out without sacrificing your other main stats. And then you want to just completely ignore intelligence and wisdom. You don't want to be stacking mana at all. We're really not going to use mana at all. And so that's when we look over at this other hero, we see that it's got a fair amount less health and quite a bit of mana that we're not going to end up needing or using. And then if we look at some of its stats on the back of the card, the wisdom is really high and the intelligence is really high comparatively, being that wisdom is single digit and just barely double digits for intelligence. The vitality is not great. This dexterity is going to be very frustrating. I think I actually might have bought this one to dark summon it. I don't know why it's still here. Maybe I'll dark summon this one today. So of these two, this is going to be the better. Higher vitality, higher health, lower mana, nice balance of strength and vitality, and then dexterity at about 20, and you're going to be laughing. You're going to be having a good time. So now that we've looked at the stats, let's talk about some of the skills that the Berserker uses. So lots of the Berserker skills are passive, which is why we're going to use basic attack mainly for our damage. Some of these you can kind of pick and choose. I think they all work pretty well, but you want to play towards the strengths that you're going for. So since we're going to use this as a damage dealer and use basic attack, I sort of feel like, well, let's talk about some of these first. So the first mushroom gives you a flat bonus based on your current and max HP. So this will kind of go up and down. I sort of prefer these two because I like that it builds. You're building up throughout the fight. You start a little slower, and then as you deal damage, you get more damage to deal. And then this one, as you're kind of taking damage, this would be the one to use if you're maybe a teensy bit more tanky. If you're going to put them on the front line, you might want to try this one because they can get hit 2 or 3 times versus doing 1 attack on this one. So this can get up to 30 very quickly, but also you're going to be taking lots of damage, lots of hits. Next passive is going to be, you've got Bear Skin, which is going to be defense, physical and magical defense, Wolf Pelt, which is going to be some evasion, and then the one we're going to pick is Boar Hide because it's just more attack, increased attack. So let's start picking these here. Whoops, just kidding. Boar Hide. Next, these are all 3 pretty interesting skills. Bloodlust and Howl are castable, and all 3 of these are castable. I was mixing this one up with another one. Blind Rage is great, but I think you have to hit too many things for it to work. So it kind of randomly determines how many attacks, so you might just not get very good attacks, and that randomly determines the enemy, so it might just hit the wrong enemy. So I just think there's too much to go wrong. And at 12 mana points, we only have 60 mana points, so they're going to go fast. And if we're just using this to do 50 damage to the wrong enemies, that's not going to work for us. So next we've got Howl. Howl is cool, and I would probably use Howl with an Amnesia 2 and hitting the enemies for 4 turns. You can basically intimidate them through the whole thing. 20% less damage through the whole thing is fantastic. But when you put it up against Bloodlust, I think we need Bloodlust in this build to really get the most out of damage. You can see there that it is going to be a small strike the hero does to themselves to hurt themselves a little bit, and then they get a big bonus to attack for 4 turns that is keys off of Vitality. So we've got quite a bit of vitality. This is going to be really useful for us. In tier 4, these are all passive as well, and I think it's kind of tricky to know exactly which one to pick. Wild Frenzy rules, like if you can catch a Wild Frenzy, like it hits hard and it works really well. The problem is that sometimes you don't catch it. You can miss it for a long time, and really without hitting Wild Frenzy, this passive does nothing. This passive, Wolfpack, works pretty well too, but I feel like the bonus to attack is not enough. Like, I just don't feel like that's a good trade-off. Next, because like if your heroes start to, in this case, if one of your heroes dies, it's gonna be down even lower. So finally, Primal Strength. This is kind of the one I like. You get a flat bonus to attack percentage, so it's however high you get your attack, it's going to continue to raise it. And then when your hero is berserking, they get an additional percentage to attack. So when they're berserk, they're doing a lot of damage. So if you're landing those hits while berserk, they hurt. Of course, if you land them on yourself, they hurt you. Yeah, that's the long and short of it. That's kind of the build that I like. Check back and watch me try to win with that build soon. Thanks.